Here is a text message that I sent to Catherine Dearlove, our new BDM, when she was 3 weeks into the role. It would be a new build if NBN EE, as it is a P2P network. NBN TC4 is GPON like UFB BS2. And that's why getting into tech is hard. All right, so we're talking about what it's like to come into IT when you've come from a non-technical background. You don't really know what all the acronyms mean. You don't really know what the products are. And we're also talking about just how to get more women working in IT, what your experience has been. So, Kat, thanks for coming on and being prepared to school us and give us the insights.
I'll pretend I'm not offended that it's taken you this long to ask me along.
How dare you? All right, I'll tread carefully. All right, so just tell us what you were doing prior to this. So you came into Lightwire. I should know this off the top of my head. How long have you been in Lightwire for now?
16 months.
Okay, and before that?
Before that, I worked for a software startup in sales, but my background is generally in business management and sales, so about a 50-50 split. Not technical,
so that software
though.
Startup
Not IT.
Sounds not IT. So the software startup didn't expose you to much in the way of kind of MSP world?
Not at all.
Telco world?
Not at all. Okay. It's very productized.
Okay. So you came into Lightwire week one. What did it feel like having come into a telco with no prior experience? Just run us through that, how that felt.
It was overwhelming, not gonna lie. It's like an entire new language that you have to learn. And I think Lightwire actually did a really good job in that onboarding process and making sure that I had a lot of resources and people that I could call on to explain the different aspects. Whereas if I was left on my own to try and figure it out, I don't think I would have still been here. put it that way. Coming into a technical role is really confronting if you don't have that background. So it is about having a support network around you if you don't have that prior experience.
Okay. So when you actually saw the job ad, did you have any hesitation because of the lack of previous exposure to that particular market segment?
Well, I guess I had a little bit of benefit in that I knew Nick Phillips previously.
Yes,
so him being able to take me for lunch and tell me all about the role in a bit more detail made it feel a lot less intimidating because he could kind of take it off paper and explain what the role actually entailed. Because while it is selling quite a technical product, at the end of the day, sales is sales. You can learn the product material, but if you aren't a seller, you're not going to go anywhere. Sales skills are applicable across any industry.
Yeah. Okay. That would have helped. So, I mean, for me, the key in attracting people who haven't necessarily had exposure to the telco or IT space, the value is that in a very tight labor market, you can move away from the concept of going, hey, you must have, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years prior experience in a related industry. You can just say, no, 5 years or 3 years experience in a sales role, if it is sales, is all you need. We can teach the skills. It's the attitude essentially that we're after. So that's cool. That's easy enough to say, but then you've got to make sure it actually goes well once the person comes on board. And as you said, that you're actually given that framework that helps you grow. So what are some of the key things that you think businesses looking to take a more open-minded approach to that whole experience question can do within the first 3 months of someone like yourself coming in to really make it a win?
Yeah, well, I guess when you hire, you're kind of hiring for what you want to achieve. You're not trying to replicate what you already have, because you've got that. You've got the people that are the experts behind the scenes. You've got those people that are doing all of the technical background work. What you need is somebody that can get out there and champion that for you. You can teach the product knowledge, and they will get up to speed. Yes, there's going to be an investment in that, but similarly, if you brought somebody on board from a competing service provider, you're going to spend just as long unpacking and untraining the way that they do things, because obviously you're different to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have jumped ship. And you need them to I guess get with the program, get with
Mm.
the way that you do things, and whether they're coming from the ground up or from up down. It's
That's a really good point. Yeah,
half of
I
the
hadn't really
course,
thought about that, but you're right. There's a risk to experience too, isn't there?
without a doubt.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, yeah, there's always been a reluctance on my part to employ people that have come from Spark for that very reason. So yeah, it's good to keep that in mind. Um, I guess coming into telco as well, and something you and I have spoken a little bit about, but where it's not just the skills that you have to learn and that investment, as you say, in time and having the right frameworks to enable that to happen. Um, well, both quickly, but also without being overwhelming. There's also the way that sales is done in a lot of cases within telco, particularly in relationship selling, where it's B2B, and particularly if it's through, yeah, as I say, through the channel. What's your experience being like having to get to grips with that kind of boozy, male dominated culture that telco still definitely has?
Yeah, and that's something we have discussed previously, and it was quite confronting. Not necessarily confronting, but kind of like how am I going to navigate this differently? Because I'm not going to have those same buddy buddy boozy night relationships that a male account manager could potentially have with a partner. Um, there is,
What do you put that down to? Like what? Like I'm interested to dive into that a little bit. Like what makes you say that?
well, it's learned experience. That's what it comes down to. Is um, if a guy goes out, has a few too many, and does something silly, laugh it off. Boys being boys. If a female does the same, there is long term reputational damage that that could potentially come with that. It's an injustice. Let's put it that way. Um, and so you need to have certain boundaries around those kinds of things. I don't want to put myself in those kinds of positions. And I raised this with our sales coach. I was like, how am I going to handle this? Going out for dinner, drinks afterwards, the night's going on. I need to tap out. She said, put some money on the bar, get yourself out of there. They can keep having a good night at your expense, but you kind of limited um, the risk.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a strategy, that makes sense. The shame there is that that there's that double standard in judgment, that there's any difference at all in how people are judged simply based on the gender. But I'm not going to say you're wrong. I mean, I think there's in certain sections of society generally, there's a different lens put on the actions of women versus men.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not necessarily a. I mean, I don't want to make it out to be a bigger thing than it is. I'm
Hmm.
getting old. I don't want to have getting older. I don't want to have those big nights. I've got to get up in the morning and tend to some
If you
children.
could also teach me how to make that transition in my thinking as well, that'd be great.
Oh,
But yes,
no,
but no. So you have found it to be kind of that business is typically done over the drinks. That's your strategy for getting out of that. Um, you've mentioned to me before that even the way though that your greet is different. Like I would just think handshakes all around, but you get people going in for hugs,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
When they
yeah.
haven't met you
No,
before.
it's not uncommon for people to come in for a hug. I don't know. Maybe I'm just giving off some really friendly vibes.
Some real
Um,
huggy vibes.
I mean, those who know me know that I'm not a hugger. Um,
Oh
but
God, neither am I.
but if you put me on the
No.
spot and we're trying to build rapport, I will accept. I'll be uncomfortable, but I won't. I
Yeah.
won't let you know
Uh,
that.
take them on for the business. Yeah, but you'll never see them again. My worry with that, and this is going slightly off topic, but my worry is that, like, let's say we've got some the kids at school, my kids at school, have some friends whose parents invite us around to their house or something for like a play date lunch thing or something. Cool. And then the lady gives me a kiss on the cheek. I'm like, God damn it. Now every time I see her, I'm going to think that I've got to do that. And it sets this expectation. Whereas if I can just be like, no, let's not do that. And then let's never do that because the expectation has been set. So I feel like that first engagement is really critical to set the scene because Otherwise, you're just making this horrible bed. You get a lion, and I just don't want.
Yeah, and
So
I guess it,
yes,
I guess it goes for everything though. You've got to set your boundaries, you've got to set your expectations, and you got to follow through with
mm.
that. Otherwise, people only know what they know.
But then my wife just tells me that I'm overthinking everything in that scenario and just stop being so weird and just let the bloody person kiss you. And I'm like, but I don't want to. And in a work setting, going back to your point, getting right back online here, is that no, I think that, I think greetings should be gender neutral, basically. I think that there should be just a way of saying hello to people that's courteous, polite, professional.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
But strange that, yeah, you've had that though. Um, uh, do you think there's any in the tech sector, particularly? Do you think there's still any? Is it still a boys' club? Is there any disadvantage that you've come across, or is it really? Have you seen it changing in the brief time you've been there?
Um, I think it's a male dominated industry, but I think majority of industries are male dominated.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's a matter of being able to put that to the side. Yes, there are certain things like going out for drinks and things that they're kind of like the extremes. But on a day to day, people are people. We're all diverse, whether it's gender or otherwise. I think as long as you're confident in yourself and you don't have any issues with people in general, and communicating with anyone from any walk of life, you're not going to encounter those issues. I do kind of disagree with things like women in IT events, um, kind of from the standpoint in that they're not addressing the issue of why do women not want to go to the other events.
And why do you think that is?
Maybe they don't feel safe. Maybe they don't feel welcome. Maybe they don't feel catered for. I think that's a big thing. Is if you don't feel like you have a sense of belonging somewhere, you're not going to go, right?
Mm.
Um, and whether that's through representation or even um, if an event organizer reached out to me, targeted LinkedIn mail, messaged females and said, "Hey, we'd really love you to come along to this event." It really does make you stop and think, "Oh, maybe I should go there. They want me to come along." You take that extra step, put in that extra effort to reach the market that you want to have more representation from. If it's going to take that effort, segregating them and saying, "Hey, here's your own weight class. Go go hang out with just the women." It's not MMA.
Weight class. I am
Like,
not touching that. So, but you're right, because I was at the last Osnog event down in Sydney, and there was, I think, 100 plus people in a room, and then it was basically all men, and the door opened up, and a group of four ladies walked in, and it was just in that moment I went, man, that would be so intimidating. Like just going, oh god, there's no other woman here. This is just wall to wall dudes, and it struck me then, a, the imbalance, b, the intimidation factor, and then just to make it worse at that particular event, not at the event itself actually, but at an outing following, I think, the second day of the event, there was an issue where there was unwanted advances, and it all got very, very gross, basically, just not good. And that just then just drives a further dagger into the issue of just, that's why there's not more women in the sector, and that's why more women don't come to those events, because all those
yeah,
reasons.
like you've got to identify, okay, what are the barriers that they're not going to the main event, that you then need to create a
Hmm.
separate event for them, right? Like it's not integrative.
Hmm. You've made a great point, when we spoke about this previously, where um, you were talking about how you need to look at the way that you communicate, whether it's job ads or whatever. Run us through that, because I think it's such a good
Yeah,
point.
well, females in general, um, we communicate in a I guess more emotive way. right? So um, job ads that are literally like fact, 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 data point, like it's not appealing. It's not appealing. Like I want to know, what are you about? How am I going to can I picture myself working here? Like, is this actually going to work into my life? I mean, the burden of family admin and stuff still falls on the female. So most of us are going to look through a job ad and go, hey, okay, this isn't going to work for me because I've got school drop off at 9 and pick up at 3:30. This company looks completely inflexible, so I won't apply. If you put it out there and make it obvious that, hey, we don't care, when you get the work done, as long as you do get it done, you've all of a sudden opened the doors to a much wider demographic to openly apply. But yeah, it comes down to the verbiage that you're actually using in those job ads. Are you actually coming across in a way that is appealing? Because if you're not attracting the people you want to attract, clearly you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, A, nice use of the term verbiage. Don't hear that often enough. B, I think there's a 50% of the talent pool out there that's not being targeted particularly well. And I've really thought about that since you first raised it with me, which is there's not even really that A/B testing going on with job ads, kind of version A, how I've always done it. What was the mix of male versus female respondents? Mix it up, use a narrative storytelling sort of approach, really look into the kind of benefits or focus in on the sort of benefits that, to your point, mothers who are doing school drop off and pickup would be looking to make use of. And see how that goes. And then coming back to your last point with like those meeting or event invites, again taking a similar approach, right? Like paint a picture of a setting, a place, and a set of events that would appeal to, at the very least, both men and women. If not, probably not to your other point, not
Yeah,
specifically women. You don't want to create an us and them, but something that provides enough for both,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, yeah, it's about, if something's not working, clearly something needs to change. Change your
Hmm.
approach.
So, like, if you could focus on a couple of things that aren't working at the moment, when you look at the split between men and women in the industry, are there any particular standouts for you that you think could do with a rethink, or are you does it really just come down to the um, to the messaging around the engagement
I
piece?
guess it depends what kind of roles you're looking to fill in in IT, right? What kind of people you're wanting to attract. Um, if it is people in the kind of roles that I'm doing, growing the business, and everyone in IT currently is looking to do that. That is heavily front-footed on soft skills. The ability to build and maintain rapport with anyone, the ability to converse with somebody with a heavily technical background confidently, um, and lean on support when you need it. If I was going into meetings and faking that I knew stuff that I didn't know, I don't think I would be having much success. That's why I lean on the people in our team that have those computer science degrees and are the experts in the subject matter to reinforce those soft skills that a salesperson is trying to bring to the fore. Yeah, it's a matter of, what are you actually looking to add to your business?
I guess in the engineering roles, there's probably a bigger problem because there's a period of time right from the whether it's a comp sci degree or some other type of qualification that typically starts off that engineering journey, whether it leads to network engineering or in that case New Zealand rural engineering, rural network engineering or voice or whatever. Um, you've got to attract women to those courses in the first place. And again, if you just got a bunch of dudes in there, it kind of from the outside looking in, it doesn't really look like it's appealing. So
Yeah, but we've got some very capable technical females on our staff. Um, I know. I
How many
absolutely
though?
admire them for being able to do
Yeah,
that
they're
kind
still
of
a
work.
massive minority. Yeah,
Without a doubt.
like, hey, super smart. Yeah, and you and I both know with our sort of sales marketing hats on, we're just like, I don't know what you do,
No.
some sort of wizardry and just zero idea. But yeah, like they're fantastic people, but they are definitely the minority in that they're women working in engineering. And I'm just thinking it probably again comes back to the messaging, the pitching, the painting a story, the narrative used to entice people into that career right from the outset. And so it's probably much harder to solve, um, or at least need some more determined focus than it would be to get more women into sales and account management positions in IT. Because as you said, it's those soft skills are fantastic. It's um, just the engagement piece again.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, Celeste,
Hmm.
our sales support, she has a software development qualification. And she was told when she was studying that, you will have zero difficulty getting hired.
Hmm. Hey, I want to just before we wrap it up, I want to come back to just the technical element. So, how long did it take you once you came into Lightwire from a cold start, standing start, to get to the point where you actually knew what, like, say, more than half of the acronyms meant?
Within about 6 months, I was relatively self-sufficient. I still
Okay,
lean on my manager when I've got something new coming across my desk that I've never discussed before. Um, but you know, as long as that information is there, those resources are there for me to go and kind of figure it out. I'm off and away. Um, just don't send messages like the one you sent me 3 weeks in.
promise I won't. I thought that was 1 weekend. It's not quite as bad. That's cool. All right. Well, look, I'm happy to leave it there unless you've got any other parting advice or gems that you'd like to share that would help people feel less intimidated by the sector.
Honestly, if you're interested in changing into IT, reach out to somebody who's already in the thick of it. Get their opinion, get their insights. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. And if you're looking to bring in more diversity into your business, make sure that that's not just a pipe dream. That you have the infrastructure, the team dynamic that's actually going to support that, so that they feel welcome when they hit the ground.
Good advice. All right. Thanks, Kat. We'll leave it there.
Thanks. Bye.